There are some rail fans who plan their days around the weather, and there are also some rail fans who do not, and that is certainly the case here. Hello folks, and welcome back to another video. Today's date is November 10th, 2024, and I am located at the Marion Union Station at the junction between the Norfolk Southern Sandusky District and CSX's Mount Victory subdivision and Columbus subdivisions. I came out on this cold, wet, and rainy day after getting the word that CSX 1852, the Western Maryland Heritage Unit, and CSX 1827, the Baltimore and Ohio Heritage Unit, would be tasked on taking CSX I-008 together. Norfolk Southern was quick to step up to the plate as they sent a southbound down the Sandusky District shortly after I pulled into the station, specifically NS-18W, a daily Bellevue, Ohio to Winston-Salem, North Carolina mixed freight train. After 18W made its way through town, the Mount Victory subdivision would come alive as a westbound made its way across the Diamonds, specifically CSX M217, a daily Selkirk, New York to Louisville, Kentucky autorack train. winds blowing hard, an eastbound would make its way through on the Mount Victory subdivision less than 5 minutes later, and I have reason to believe that this is CSX M364, a daily Avon, Indiana to Selkirk, New York mixed freight train. Prior to the passage of those two CSX trains in the previous scenes, a Norfolk Southern southbound would pull up, but come to a stop to wait for those CSX trains, and after they passed, the dispatcher finally turned him loose. The mystery southbound would end up being a loaded grain train. Unfortunately, though, I did not get the symbol of this one. Now what would happen next would end up being a running meet between CSX L456, which was coming northbound up the Columbus subdivision between Columbus, Ohio and Walbridge, Ohio, and Norfolk Southern 28N heading southbound on the Sandusky District between Chicago, Illinois and Charlotte, North Carolina. We would end up seeing more of L456 here in a little bit. About 20 minutes after the passage of 28N, here came a northbound mixed freight train up the Sandusky District, NS 117, on an in-state journey between Portsmouth, Ohio and Bellevue, Ohio. One BNSF GEVO is all this train needs to get to its destination. After that mini rush on the Norfolk Southern Sandusky District, we would once again catch CSX L456 as he's making his way northbound up the Columbus subdivision. Off-screen, while the rush on the Sandusky District was going on, L456 was dropping off cars in the yard off of the Mount Victory subdivision and is now taking what is left of his train to Walbridge, Ohio. After L456 finally finished up his work here in Marion, the train that everybody came out in the cold raining weather to see then came east. CSX I-008, a high-priority intermodal train that runs on a daily basis between Rose Lake, Illinois and Syracuse, New York, with the two CSX Heritage units on point as advertised, 1852 in the lead and 1827 trailing second. At one point in time, both railroads that are commemorated by these locomotives were once separate companies, until they, along with the C&O Railroad, merged in 1973 to form the chassis system, which would eventually become half of CSX about 13 years later in 1986. Norfolk Southern Sandusky District would come alive a little while after I-008 made its way through, when a northbound loaded coal train showed up. Even though I didn't get the symbol of this train had a nice tree trailing second today, that being NS 1074, the Lackawanna Heritage Unit. Even though the shot in the previous scene wasn't the best that I have gotten of this Heritage Unit, I still have 3 other ones that I've gotten in the past. While standing on the top platform of AC Tower, a northbound Norfolk Southern grain train, specifically an empty one, would make its way through on the Sandusky District. While I didn't get the symbol of this train either, the trailing AC-44C6M, number 4868, was one of the newer ones that was rebuilt quite recently from the core of an old BNSF-9. With my time running short, one more northbound would grace the Sandusky District before I had to leave for the day, which is a train that we don't typically see that often. NS-267, a daily Columbus, Ohio to Hammond, Indiana intermodal train, with a pair of BNSF Pumpkin GEs in the lead. The reason why we don't see this train that often is because it usually runs at night. However, on this day, it was running at 1:30 in the afternoon. After the passage of 267, I would then get back on the road and head home, which is where we now conclude another video. When it was all said and done with, even though the weather was far from being great, the train action definitely was great. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out some other ones of mine, leave a like or a comment down below to share your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and tap the notifications bell if you want to be notified when a new video gets posted here on the channel. Till next time, this is All Ohio Railfan, signing off.